there guys, gals, non-binary pals, GM Potter here. Welcome to my channel where I review books and bookish things. I upload on Thursdays and alternating Tuesdays. And today we are going over Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers. So, let's get into it. Alrighty, so this book came out in 1954. It is the follow-up to Fellowship of the Rings, which we did 2 videos ago, and I'll have that linked up above in the cards. If you haven't watched that one, please go watch that one, come back, watch this one. That being said, since this book came out in 1954, there will be no restraint on spoilers. So this book has a 4.48 on Goodreads. Again, this one from me is a solid 5 stars. It is my favorite of the Lord of the Rings books. Return of the King is amazing. It's wonderful. It's got a wonderful ending. We'll be doing that one next. But for me, the real story, the real meat and potatoes of the story is in The Two Towers. That being said, in this book, we've got the Rohirrim, we've got the Ents, we've got the White Rider, who is he, what's going on, Smeagol, and Shelob. In this book, we pick up with Aragorn and Gimli and Legolas deciding whether or not to go after Frodo or Sam, or after Merry and Pippin. And it's a big decision, because they were supposed to be the Fellowship of the Ring. They were supposed to follow Frodo and guide him and protect him until the very end. And they were unable to do that because Frodo went off on his own after the whole Boromir thing. They decide to go after Merry and Pippin. They bury Boromir at sea. They put him in one of the 3 boats that they got from Galadriel, and they put him in there, and Aragorn takes to wearing his bracers, his wrist bracers, and as a sign of respect and love for his friend. And they set off after Merry and Pippin. Now, this book is a lot faster paced than The Fellowship. It's a kind of leave you breathless kind of storytelling. There's a lot more urgency. Everything's got to happen now. Everything's got to happen right now, right here, right now. Let's go. Which I really appreciate. So a couple of points from the movie. Like we talked about briefly about the movies and the books. 2 of my favorite things from the movie are actually canon in the book. Like, they actually happen in the book. Like, at the Battle of Helm's Deep, where we have Legolas and Gimli keeping score of how many of the enemy they've killed, that's in the book. They're like, oh, I've got this many, well, I've got this many, blah, blah, blah. Like, that kind of let's psych each other up-ness is in the book, which is absolutely amazing. And also, potatoes is in the book. And I most recently listened to the ones narrated by Andy Serkis, who played Gollum, Smeagol, in the movies, and he does a fantastic job. Absolutely fantastic. I love it. It's great. The Ents, who are not quick to anger but are full of wrath, end up rescuing Merry and Pippin, lay siege to Isengard's tower. They lay siege to the White Tower of Isengard, and they flood it by breaking the dams that Saruman built. It's amazing. The way the Ents talk in their Ent language about, well, we don't want to be quick to anger, we don't want to make any rash decisions, and then they're like, you know what? Let's go. And unleash all of their Ent anger on Saruman. Rightly so, but it's terrifying a little bit that the trees hold this much power. And a story that I've always read is the reason that we have the Ents, these tree people, is because when Tolkien was a small boy, he read Macbeth, or he watched Macbeth, or I don't remember if he read it or if he watched a production of it, but the quote, Dunsinane Wood comes to Dunsinane Hill, he thought the trees were going to get up and move. No, they just cut them down and turned them into weapons. Okay, that's boring. So in his book, he has the trees come to life, and Dunsinane Wood comes to Dunsinane Hill and lays siege to it. And So that's where that idea came from, that he'd had this idea for like years. So Wormtongue was deceiving Theoden in the Rohirrim, and they cast him out, and they cast out Wormtongue, and Theoden is brought back, and all is good. Well, Wormtongue took up with Saruman, and because that's who he's been working for in reality, and the Ents trap Wormtongue and Saruman in the tower together. And here my camera cut out for some weird reason, I don't know why, but essentially it cut off the whole bit of Gandalf. So Gandalf was smote by the Balrog in the middle of the previous book, and Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli meet the White Rider in the wood, and they think they've met Saruman because they don't know what he looks like, and they're very frightened for Merry and Pippin, and they don't know what's going on, and he casts off his hood, and he comes into the light, and they're like, Gandalf, what happened? And he tells the story about how essentially naked and afraid the eagles rescued him and brought him to Galadriel, and Galadriel fed him and clothed him and took care of him. Gandalf comes back, and Legolas and Gimli and Aragorn and Gandalf come to Isengard to help lay siege to it, and Merry and Pippin are lounging, having a good time, and say, welcome to Isengard, like in the movie, that hilarious bit from the movie, that's in the book too. So they trap them there seemingly for all time. Then we switch back. That was part 3, book 3. So book 4, we switch back to Sam and Frodo, and they're going off, and they realize that Gollum's been following them, and Frodo tries to befriend him because he takes pity on him, and decides that no, he's Smeagol now. I'm going to rehabilitate him. I can change him. All of this stuff, and Sam, being Sam, is like, no, he's stinker and slinker, and just doesn't buy it even for a second. Which, I mean, Sam's the smart one. They meet Faramir, Boromir's brother, at the edge of the wilds, and his lament over Boromir, because Frodo knows Boromir's dead, and his main dealing with Boromir was him trying to take the ring from Frodo. Even though he felt horrible about it and redeemed himself at the end of the last book, Frodo doesn't know that. He doesn't even know that Boromir's dead. Faramir says, oh, you knew my brother? What was he like? And Frodo's like, oh, he was a good man. He's like, you don't have to gas him up. You don't have to lie to me. I know what my brother was. I know who my brother was. And all that. His lament over Boromir's death is so painful and so palpable in the book that it's just awful. And he knows his brother was flawed, but he wants to avenge him anyway. And he says, hey, we had to blindfold you to take you into our lands, because they were going to take Frodo and Sam up to Gondor and take them down into Gondor, and because he's got the ring, and Boromir was supposed to get the ring, and now we've got the ring, and they blindfolded them to bring them into their lands, into their safe house. Gollum has been following them. Smeagol has been following them, and he says, hey, I've got to kill him. And Frodo spares his life. And yeah, we'll get into that in the next book. So they end up going back on the road, and Smeagol and Gollum together, because they're kind of two entities in one person, get together and are like, okay, we've got to take him out. And they're like, we'll go and we'll send him to Shelob, and she'll kill him, and then we can go through his pocketses and get the precious. Trigger warning for arachnophobia. If you haven't read the books or seen the movies, I'm so sorry. Shelob is a giant spider demon that is centuries old and unkillable. And ends up stabbing Frodo, and Sam fights her. He doesn't kill her. He wounds her quite a bit, but he's not able to kill her. Sam takes the ring, because he's got to keep the ring, the precious, safe. He takes the precious and he's like, okay, do I carry Frodo's body with me? Do I leave his body here? Do I bury him? What do I do? And he keeps going back and forth and back and forth, literally going back and forth until, I can't remember if they're orcs or if they're goblins. The bad guys come and they take Frodo's body that's still wrapped in the silk, and they carry him down, and Sam follows them as best he can. And Sam is the ring bearer now. That's the end of the book. But yeah, that's the Two Towers, and there's so much, and it sets it up for the next book in an amazing way. But you feel the tension, and you feel the urgency, and you feel everything in the story, and it's just utterly fantastic in the best possible way. So, have you read Two Towers? Is it your favorite too? Let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!